But star forward Jai Arrow has been offered a 5-year, $4 million deal to remain at the club beyond 2020. Now, considering what's happening on the Gold Coast, gents, how important is it that the Titans keep Arrow long term?
Oh, vital. Vital. I think him and AJ Brimson and young Mo Futawaka, if you talk to anyone at the club up there, they'll tell you they're the three guys they want to build the club around. And AJ's Jai Arrow, is at the heart of that because he's a good bloke. He could potentially be a great leader for them down the track. He's vital. They need to keep him.
Queenslander, local kid, perfect fit. I've got to commend the Titans here. I know we discussed last night, Ben, how you look at their roster and there are a number of players who have been paid over market value. But in relation to Jai Arrow, I think where he sits at the moment in his career, what he's achieved and where he's going to get to, it's a smart attempt at trying to lock up a bloke who you can build the club around.
We're seeing a bit of Jai Arrow here. His game has come along in leaps and bounds. Not only is he a player that an NRL club want to build their future around, but I think he's very quickly become a mainstay of the Queensland State of Origin side. But where it gets interesting is that the Titans are experiencing a level of stress and churn at the moment, and not to mention the fact that, as you've said, and we pointed out last night, there are some big men on some big money, as you'll see here, up there on the Gold Coast. And for Arrow to stay, I'm assuming that there's going to have to be some salary cap surgery of sorts.
Well, I mean, I think Leilani Latu will be gone in a year. He's off contract in a year's time. You've got Ryan James is off contract in a year's time. I can't imagine they want to let Ryan James go. I mean, he's their captain and crucial for them. And then you've got guys who are on longer-term deals than that. Bryce Cartwright and Shannon Boyd, they're probably the other guys who are really expendable at the moment. Nathan Peets as well is off in a year's time. Maybe Nathan Peets might be finding a new home. So they've got a little bit of room to move. I mean, Jai, I remember, has got another year on his deal. So it's really 2020 where they've got to make, or 2021 where they've got to make the room.
But surely they're shooting for an upgrade next year.
Well, he needs an upgrade next year. He's on a deal he signed 3 years ago, and I'm pretty sure that as part of any deal, he'll get an upgrade of some sort for next year.
Because he's going to be in the middle of a negotiation with the club, as I've already pointed out, is going through a bit of a messy phase. So someone that's reached the point in his career that he's at, having not won a premiership, I think in the back of his mind would be prepared to wait, look afield, and partly base his decision on where he thinks he can win a comp while he's at the peak of his career. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think there's all those style of circumstances that absolutely you have to take into account. Ben, he was also a big supporter of Garth Brennan. He was one of the few players that you would often see on the record saying that they were a staunch supporter of what Garth was attempting to do at the club. To your point earlier about Jai Arrow and his influence on State of Origin, I know he's only played a handful of games, but if you go back to State of Origin 1, the Blues early on had all the momentum, and Josh Papali and Jai Arrow did their best to try and hold the middle, but you would say New South Wales probably had the upper hand of the opening 40 minutes. There was a second stint where Jai Arrow and Josh Papali turned the momentum of the game. It was that set that we've heard spoken about at length now, and I feel as though it was those two players in the middle that came on, and that line speed and that energy that they provided, that underlines what he can deliver to a club.
That's a rare quality, to be able to do that at that level. So let's get an update. I mean, what are you hearing about the recruitment process for the coach up there on the Gold Coast?
Yeah, look, they'll have a shortlist done the next couple of days, I imagine. We're talking a shortlist, maybe 4 or 5, maybe less than that. So that'll be completed the next couple of days, and then they move on to the next step in the process. So it's moving pretty quickly up there. And I'd expect things to happen pretty rapidly. I know they've said they'll wait to the end of the year, but if they make a decision before that, it wouldn't surprise me.